Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this April the 8th. And I know, Steve, this is one of those shows that we enjoy, don't we?
Look forward to it every year.
Every year. Now, we normally would have more people in the studio. Shelby's here. Of course, we couldn't do it without Shelby McCall. But normally we would have other people. But it's Steve and me. We got Tony Dolly over in Mount Juliet. Good morning again, Tony. All right.
Good morning, guys. It's a great Saturday morning.
Yes, as we talk outdoors and on this turkey show that we do. Who better to talk with on Outdoors with Larry Ray for this segment than Roger Shields. He is the TWRA Wild Turkey Program Coordinator. And good morning, Roger. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good morning to you all.
All right. Let's talk turkey, Roger. I know. How long you been in this position now?
I've been here in Tennessee for about 4 years, but I was program coordinator in Florida for 7 years prior to that.
I remember that. And we've had Roger on the show before, and just want to talk, and I hope that Tony and Steve might ask some questions too. Things are there's been some changes made. Roger, talk about this season, because normally this weekend we are opening up with Young Sportsman's Hunt. The regular season opens up next weekend. So to talk about the really a 2-week delay in normally when we start.
Yeah, I mean normally we'd be a week into it already, but yeah, we the commissioners elected last summer or last spring to delay the start for a couple weeks. And this is just give birds a little bit more opportunity to do their breeding and kind of do their behaviors before hunters get in the woods and start harvesting birds and start disrupting, some of their behaviors. So that's kind of the intent of it, just give them a little more time to do their thing.
Well, has that been a concern over the last several years, Roger? Talk about that. From this is not something that was decided overnight. So talk.
Yeah. So back in 2021 and 22,
COVID,
the
COVID
was delayed.
Year.
Yeah. The season was delayed in a few counties, so I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But we were calling the Mississippi Alluvial Valley, those 5 counties along the Mississippi River, and then 4 down.
Yeah, Steve knows about those. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had delayed the season in those areas, and we had an opportunity to kind of really look at what effect that would have from a research project we've been doing now for several years at the University of Tennessee. And so that's kind of where this idea that by delaying the hunt, you'd keep the hunters out of the woods and let turkeys do their thing, that might improve the reproductive success. That's kind of been some of the concern here of late, is that we just aren't seeing the same level of productivity that we had in the past, and so we're just trying to think of what we can do to help that and maybe improve things.
Steve, what do you say?
Got a question for you.
All right.
So why did they not look at the state of Arkansas? State of Arkansas has been doing that same theory for about 20 years, and they still have a very low population. Has not worked.
Right. Yeah, and when you look at what Arkansas has done, their season timing has really fluctuated over that time frame. They've gone from, traditionally way back, it was pretty early, and they started slowly delaying it, and then they kind of bumped it back up earlier. So I wouldn't say they've been consistent in that time frame as being near their peak of nesting, but yeah, that's and Missouri. If you want to think about conservative states, Missouri's pretty conservative in their timing, and yet they've seen pretty steep declines. The one to counter that, though, has been Louisiana. They haven't done it for very long. I think they've got 3 or 4 years now, where they had delayed their season 2 weeks, and then shortly thereafter, about the same time, they started seeing some of their harvest numbers going back up. Whether that's related or not, but that was something that just is out there as well.
Yeah, because I know, like the last couple of years, that they're benefiting from the same good hatches that Arkansas has seen, Tennessee's seen, with favorable weather.
Weather has a plate.
Tremendous effect on it.
Yeah.
Another thing I was curious about, so the states used to do a lot of trapping and relocating into areas that were struggling, and apparently they've stopped doing that. When they were doing it, we were seeing, dispersed genetics, and there were booms, and then they kind of got away from it, and it's dropping back down. How come they don't still trap in problem areas? When I say problem, they've got an abundance of turkeys and put them into other areas that are struggling, and then close that season for 3 to 5 years like they historically did?
Well, my understanding too, and like I said, I've been here 4 years, but a lot of those relocations or translocations that were done, that was during the era of restoration, when back in the 50s and whatnot, when numbers of turkeys in the state had dwindled to the point that really only about 19 counties even had turkeys in them. And so they started that restoration, moving turkeys from where they had them to where there basically were no turkeys. And that continued on through the 90s, 80s and 90s is really when it was ramping up, and then it kind of ended in the early 2000s. The reason it ended was we had turkeys pretty much restored to all of the counties in the state. They didn't need to release more birds. Now, after that time frame, they were still taking in areas where they had nuisance birds or nuisance issues, birds getting into crop fields, and just there'd be so many birds. They were going in there and trapping some of those nuisance birds and moving them to other counties and things. But as the numbers started to come down, those issues with nuisance birds, if you want to call them that, had dwindled as well. So there wasn't the need to go in there and remove nuisance birds anymore. So that, I think, is more of the reason we haven't been moving birds around.
Well, I think, again, we're talking to Roger Shields, TWRI Wild Turkey Program Coordinator. I think we all know, we've been around here long enough that if it wasn't for Shelby Forest, we wouldn't have turkeys. I mean, right. That's where we all grew up. That's where I killed my first turkey, and Steve just about lives in Shelby Forest back and knows it better than anybody else. But I do know that we have lowered the bag limit too, folks, from 3 to 2, right, Roger? And only one bird can be a Jake now. So
correct. That's
another area that we're trying to increase the population by not shooting as many, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah, basically just try and hold some of those birds over to the next year, grow that base of gobblers, that gobbler population, and not take so many all at once.
Well, you're expecting a good season, Roger? I mean, have you, because I know this is our 4th year for what I like, the tag before you drag. I like that. We can do that and not be sticking tags on a leg or something like that. But what's your prediction?
Well, I think we'll have a really good year. 2 years ago, we had a really good hatch across the state. And so all those poults that were hatched in 2021 are now 2-year-old birds, and they should be, ready to go. And that's why I think we'll have a really good year. We've got a lot of those, basically the ones that are the predominant birds being harvested, those 2-year-old birds.
Yeah.
And, but the total harvest may not jump a whole lot because of that decrease in the bag limit from 3 to 2.
Yeah.
When we went from 4 to 3,
I remember.
That wasn't going to be as big an impact in terms of the number of birds that were not harvested as going from 3 to 2.
Well, we can look at the deer population, and when we cut the bag limit on bucks, everybody's and then we killed 160,000 deer this past year or something, whatever it was. So, I think COVID, a lot of people were able to hunt that wasn't able to hunt, but I think that, and Steve will probably agree with this, that you go in any local store now, and there's more people standing around in the turkey stuff than there are normally time of the year. And, of course, Steve likes that. People are going to buy products and things along that line. But I'm just anticipating, so it's next weekend. We will kick it back off. And I think all the birds are probably over where Tony lives in Mount Juliet. Now, I don't know if that's correct or not, but I've heard there's a lot of them.
We have our fair share of them over here, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're scooting them out of the road up here. I'm expecting elk to come across the street.
I will say this. I was taking my dog to a kennel out in the country the other day, and there were two gobblers strutting in the middle of the
Thanks,
road,
Tony.
and if I'd have had a rock, I could have whacked either one of them.
Yeah, and they probably have their great grandfather was from Shelby Forest, so I know there's some of those things over there. Roger, thank you, man, for being with us on this Saturday morning. Appreciate you the work you've done, and hope it's a great season. Hope to talk to you later on down the road. Okay, man. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Appreciate it. All right, Roger.
Good luck this season, everybody.
Thank you, Roger Shields. And appreciate the comments from my friend, Mr. Turpin, over there. I knew he would have something because those are some questions that I'd like to ask, but it comes better from a Turpin than it does a Ray.
Well, we could have talked the entire show.
Yeah, I know it.
on,
Yes, yeah.
So.
And we may have to do that later on, because
That's good. This is going to be a pivotal season for turkeys in Tennessee.
Well,
and Steve is right. Those are good questions to ask.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens with all these changes that they're making.
Well, I know I've used to hunt in Arkansas, and I know their season. I can't keep. They got so many zones and everything out over there. I don't know if I was hitting Zone 3 or Zone 4A or 4B and all these other things, and I don't hunt over there anymore. And of course, Mississippi. I don't know why they don't have two seasons, one for South Mississippi and one for North Mississippi, but because they start, Steve? They start 1st of March or something like that.
March 15th, and they should have at least two zones.
They should have two zones because the weather is so different from the coast up to here. So anyway, all right, we're almost wrapping this baby up, and I can send Turpin home or wherever he's going on this Saturday morning, and I can get Tony back to watching TV. But anyway, watching the Masters or whatever it might be. All right, we're going to close out the show.
There is that.
There is that going on. We got a man coming on next that normally would be in the studio, but he's making too many calls out at Rolling Thunder in Summerville now. He doesn't have time for us, but we're going to talk. We're going to talk with Russell Ginn, one of our favorite guests on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back. That tells you we'll be right back.